Yeah, don't make me cranky. You wouldn't like me when I'm cranky. So, in the middle of editing a rant video, another rant opportunity presented itself that's way more important in the grand scheme of things than that. And who knew in 2023 that a movie that was originally made in 1971 would be so important in this day in history? Well, you want to know what I'm talking about? You haven't heard? Listen to my take. Let's talk about this movie and why it's so important. What are we waiting for? Let's go. So yeah, welcome back to the JevMan316 Pop Culture Reporter channel. I'm your host, as always, JevMan316. And you know, kind of jokingly, I ran about stuff on this channel. That stuff is usually really important to me, but in this case, it's even more important. If you're not familiar with the movie that I showed in the opening, it's The French Connection, starring Gene Hackman. The thing won, like, I think 5 Academy Awards. It was nominated for 8. It's a really good, gritty, grimy detective story. Probably pretty realistic for the times, maybe a little too realistic. And so what I mean by that is, this is the latest movie that is having issues with censorship. Now, it's currently, I think, streaming on the Criterion channel. And from what I understand, this is made by Fox. And 20th Century Fox was purchased by Disney. Now, I'm not going to go off on a rant and say that Disney is advocating censorship or something like that with their movies, but if you go back and look on my channel, they historically have done that. When I first got Disney Plus, there's a video on here because I went and watched Adventures in Babysitting, where Elizabeth Shue is on the subway and she does her rant and says drops the F-bomb. And in the original cut of the movie that was presented on Disney Plus, they cut that scene out and it was edited for content. They didn't really cut it, they edited the word, sorry. But with that, so I went on a rant about that, about how important censorship is. Well, I'm an advocate for physical media, and this is the exact reason why. Once a lot of these big companies like Amazon, Disney, Netflix, any of those others, when they start buying up content and companies, then they totally control the version of the movie that historically gets put on record. Now, a lot of that times that could mean that you're going to get a movie that's edited for content. Like I said, with Adventures in Babysitting, now they went back and corrected themselves on that one. Now, they may correct themselves with this one. But I just wanted to let you know that that's one of the reasons that I'm an advocate for physical media. You get an exact copy of the way the movie was intended. I always like to make sure that, you know, that the cut of the movie and or the aspect ratio and everything is what the director would have wanted. I really wanted to be a true theatrical experience. What I experienced in the theater or could have experienced in the theater is what I want on this disc, and that's what I've got right here. So I'm going to own this movie, and I'm going to own it in the way the director intended it. And yeah, in context, I understand I am not an advocate for, you know, racial slurs or jokes about certain classes of people or types of people. Things that historically are being said in movies that are now would be in real poor taste. I read an article that said when the director screened this movie in Harlem and the main character there dropped some N-words, that the crowd went crazy. And it wasn't because they were angry. It's because they loved the fact that for the first time, police officers and the way that they handled and talked about and to black people in that generation, it was a realistic portrayal of what was going on. So sometimes movies can be almost like a historical document. But that's where, like I said, I'm an advocate of physical media for multiple reasons, but the main one I want to talk about in this video is censorship. But we're going down a really slippery slope if we start letting big mega companies buy up catalogs of movies and have them on streaming services and have them control what versions we see and what can be edited and what cannot. So I'm really going to be interested to see whether either Criterion or Disney or whoever comes back and lets people know why they edited this movie. And it's really small edits as far as words, but the bad part about it is There's other racial slurs and other things in this movie that are way worse than what they cut out. And those exact same words are used in other movies. Why did they cut this one? So from what I understand, though, there was also some theatrical screenings of this movie recently, and those were edited as well. So, like I said, very slippery slope. That's why I love physical media. I want a physical record of exactly what was released, how it was released, uncut. I know that they don't want to have other people influence, but that's because the world has become fucking cheap. You got to be able to think for yourself. You got to be able to watch this stuff. You got to be able to put it in context. You got to learn from history, and you got to support uncensored content. This movie got made, and it should not be edited. And I'm not just saying this movie, any movie. So I know there's a lot of other bigger names than me that have put out videos this week. Sarah at Midnight was one of the first ones I saw, but I just wanted to go on record on my channel. Whether it's one person that fucking watches it or whether it's 1,000 that watch it. Physical media is important for historical record purposes, if nothing else. Now, I've got other rant videos on here you can go back and watch where I give all the reasons that I collect physical media. Let's talk about this. Hey, I do live streams on the weekend. Let's talk about this kind of stuff. I know we go off on tangents or whatever, but this is really important. Anybody who listens to this, spread the word. It's wrong. Go out and buy as many copies of The French Connection as you can to support this. Gene Hackman is an amazing actor. I hope his reputation doesn't get tarnished by this. You know, he basically was reading from a part, but he does a really good job of the portrayal of this character for the date and time. So I'm not going to continue on. I think you've got my point. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the normal YouTube stuff. I'm not going to edit my shit for content on here. Nobody's going to tell me what I can and cannot say other than YouTube. And if they do that, then I'll post my shit on my own personal social media. JeffMan316 on Instagram, JeffMan316 on Twitter. Hit me up over there, and we can talk there if you don't want to talk here. So until next time, boys and girls, this is JeffMan316, and I'm your pop culture reporter, and I'm signing out saying you guys be safe out there.